I don't think there's another anime out there that has more heart-wrenching moments than Made in Abyss. Change my mind. Welcome back to the bakery. Today, we're baking up the most soul-crushing moments of Made in Abyss. This show doesn't just tug at your heartstrings, it rips them out and eats them whole. Each episode leaves you feeling emotionally drained. Let's explore the top 5 moments that made us cry. Number 5. Reg and Faputa's battle. Reg and Faputa's battle is intense and complicated. The fight itself is brutal, but what makes it truly heartbreaking is the complex emotional history between them, most of which is shrouded in mystery due to Reg's memory loss. Faputa clearly knows Reg from before, and we learn that they made a promise to each other. Reg would help Faputa kill her mother, allowing Faputa to finally be free. However, Reg doesn't remember any of this, which leaves him upset. Reg wants to help Faputa, but he also doesn't want to cause more destruction. There's a touching moment from when Reg remembers crying, laughing, eyes full of curiosity, all such gentle expressions, yet he can't remember any of the important things. The frustration in this scene is almost unbearable, as Reg struggles to make sense of a relationship that feels significant but is wrapped in fog. You can feel his desperation, wanting to do the right thing, but not knowing how. And just when the emotions peak, Kevin Penkin's beautiful soundtrack underscores the entire scene, pulling us even deeper into their pain. Number 4 is Irumyuui's tragic fate, a young girl whose life takes a devastating turn. Cast out from her home for being unable to have children, she meets Vueko, who offers her a chance at a new life. At first, it seems like she might find happiness. She bonds with the ganja group and even gets a cute little rabbit pet. But this is Made in Abyss, and the joy is short-lived. Irumyuui falls ill, like the others in the group, succumbing to the deadly environment of the Abyss's 6th layer. Desperate, they give her a cradle of desire, a relic that grants one wish, her wish, to have children. The very thing she was exiled for. The wish comes true, but in a horrific twist, her children are born only to be consumed as medicine. Irumyuui watches helplessly as her babies are taken from her to cure others. When she realizes the betrayal, her despair turns into vengeance. She transforms into the village itself, trapping everyone in a nightmarish prison. This moment is haunting, showing how even innocent wishes can become horrific under the wrong circumstances. Number 3 is Vueko's final moments. Vueko's death in the Season 2 finale is one of the most gut-wrenching scenes in the series. After suffering from the Abyss's 6th layer curse, Vueko is left in excruciating pain, unable to speak. We see her physically deteriorating while watching the destruction of the village and the release of Irumyuui, whom she loved dearly. With her last bit of strength, Vueko crawls towards Faputa, desperate to connect with somebody before she dies. Faputa, who can hear her thoughts, listens as Vueko remembers Irumyuui. In this confusing state, Vueko pours out her emotions, leaving Faputa in tears. The moment is filled with raw emotion as Vueko's mind starts to fade, and she mistakes Faputa for Irumyuui. Speaking to her as if she's still alive, Faputa, who didn't even know Vueko well, becomes overwhelmed by this wave of grief as her mother's only friend passes away. Vueko's death doesn't just affect Faputa, but also the rest of the group, who gather around to comfort her. We're left watching as Faputa creates a grave for Vueko near the remnants of the village. A bittersweet end to a character who has endured so much. The scene forces us to confront the themes of loss, memory, and the fragility of human connection in the Abyss. Number 2 is Prushka's fate. Prushka's story is arguably one of the darkest moments in Made in Abyss. Prushka, who sees Bondrewd as her father, is tragically betrayed by him in one of the most heartbreaking ways imaginable. Raised lovingly by Bondrewd, who took care of her, taught her, and genuinely cared for her, Prushka only wanted to help him, but Bondrewd has his own twisted objectives. In a shocking turn of events, he uses Prushka as a cartridge, a vessel for a survival of the curse. And should I remind you, this is while she is alive and conscious. Imagine the horror of being trapped in a container, unable to move or speak. To make matters worse, we're given an entire backstory showing Prushka's childhood, where we see Bondrewd taking care of her, and despite knowing how it all ends, we can't help but feel conflicted. It's clear that Bondrewd genuinely loved her in his own twisted way, but that doesn't change the fact that he chose to sacrifice her for his own gain. The final blow comes when we see Prushka's fantasy of Bondrewd happily sending her and her friends off to the 6th layer. It's a fantasy that comes true in all the wrong ways. And once again, Kevin Penkin's score amplifies the heartbreak, making this scene unforgettable. An honourable mention is the Ore-Piercer attack. We can't forget the Ore-Piercer attack at the 4th layer. Vueko gets poisoned by the terrifying creature known as the Ore-Piercer, and in a desperate attempt to save her, Reg is forced to make a horrifying decision. Vueko starts hallucinating and bleeding from every orifice, and even begs Reg to cut off her arm. Reg, nearly breaking down himself, tries to do what she asks, but he can't do it right. The sheer desperation in his cries, coupled with the brutal reality of what he has to do, make this scene one of the most nerve-wracking in the entire series. Thankfully, Nanachi intervenes, just at the right time, but the emotional scars on that moment linger long after. Before I reveal the #1 most heartbreaking moment in Made in Abyss, I want to thank you for watching. I put a lot of time and effort into creating these videos every week, but I noticed that 96.6% of you who watch aren't subscribed yet. If you're enjoying this content and want to support me, please hit that subscribe button. The most heart-wrenching moment in Made in Abyss has to be the tragic fate of Mitty. Mitty, once a human, was horribly transformed by the curse of the Abyss into a creature who could not die, but continued to feel pain. Her soul was essentially trapped in a body that could not perish, a fate worse than death. Nanachi, her closest friend, takes on the burden of caring for her. Knowing that Mitty will be left alone when Nanachi eventually dies due to a morbid immortality. When Reg comes along with a way to end Mitty's suffering, Nanachi makes the most gut-wrenching decision to ask him for a mercy killing. The scene that follows is almost unbearable. We see Reg's hesitation and tears as he prepares to use his incinerator on Mitty, who is surrounded by her beloved stuffed animals. Kevin Penkin's beautiful music swells and the atmosphere is thick with sorrow. Mitty, who has provided comfort to Vueko and served as a source of emotional support, is about to be destroyed. Just before the blast, Nanachi screams for Reg to stop and runs to embrace Mitty, crying uncontrollably. For a moment, it seems like Nanachi has had a change of heart and might seek some way to restore Mitty, but no, the mercy killing goes forward, and we are forced to watch Mitty disappear in a flash of light. The pain in Nanachi's voice as they beg Reg to promise not to let them commit suicide afterwards is absolutely gut-wrenching, and we can't help but consider Mitty's perspective too. On some level, she knows Nanachi is caring for her, but she's trapped, unable to express herself as the incinerator fires. We see her trying to speak, but we'll never know what she was trying to say. Was it fear? Gratitude? Something else? The confusion of her final moments adds to the devastating impact. If you want to see a theory video that might change Mitty's heartbreaking story, make sure to check out this video here. If this list has left you feeling emotionally drained, you're not alone. Made in Abyss is a masterclass in storytelling that doesn't shy away from the darkest corners of human emotion. Keep baking up those great ideas in the comment section down below, and I will see you next time.